The active denial system is a long-range, non-lethal weapon. It uses a beam of millimeter wave energy against the target. It causes such discomfort that you have to move away. It does not matter how big or small you are. The results are the same. So, how does the ADS work? It transmits a narrow beam of energy at the speed of light. When the beam reaches its human target, it penetrates the skin by 1/64th of an inch. That's about the thickness of 3 sheets of paper. Within seconds, the target feels an intense heating sensation. That burning only stops when the transmitter shuts off or when he moves out of the beam.
HAARP continues as the ultimate SDI radio frequency radiation weapon. The HAARP project manager describes the experiment of Earth-penetrating capability using, quote, frequencies of 10 to 20 Hertz pulses per second, or maybe 1 Hertz, 1 cycle per second type waves, unquote. This range of frequencies are the same dominant frequencies within which the human brain normally operates. Objections to non-disclosure of the biological effects of ELF on living things were ignored. The military, particularly the Navy and Air Force, have extensive research on the negative effects of ELF. These effects have been well documented, but the government easily deflects public concern by playing down the effects and minimizing the risks. This is the same method used for other military systems, including nuclear weapons tests, LSD experiments, and radiation experiments, all carried out on unknowing subjects under the guise of national security. Publicly, it is an ionospheric research instrument, but it can be used to control weather and do electromagnetic sweeps that can be used for mind control of large populations. HAARP, located 30 miles from Fairbanks, Alaska, is the real focus of anti-missile defense that SDI, the Strategic Defense Initiative, purported to be, and much more. The public patent was titled, A Method and Apparatus for Altering a Region of the Earth's Atmosphere, Ionosphere, and Magnetosphere. Dr. Bernard Eastland, a physicist who holds a patent for the fusion torch, also holds about a dozen other related patents that were eventually purchased by E-Systems and Raytheon. Patent number 4686605 claims the following uses. Cause total disruption of all forms of communications over a very large portion of the Earth. Missile or aircraft destruction. Deflection or confusion. Weather modification by altering solar absorption. Also altering composition of the atmosphere. This patent was classified by the Navy under National Security Order in 1987, but other patents exist for purposes of power beaming systems, artificial ionospheric mirror composed of a plasma layer, creation of artificial ionizing clouds above the Earth, defense system for discriminating between objects in space, nuclear-sized explosions without radiation.
The ionosphere is a sea of electrically charged particles in the upper atmosphere, and the instrument is a powerful radio wave transmitter.
Does it have any military applications?
The site itself is strictly a scientific research site. Perhaps the outcome of some of the science, perhaps some of the results could be applied in a military systems.
Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Balance personal rights with social duties. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature.
Ironically, however, the very innovations that are making possible dramatic improvements in human well-being are also creating new problems which raise the specter of an alarming and possibly catastrophic disaster to the biosphere we live in. And herein lies the dilemma that we all face. Let me illustrate. Improved public health has caused the world's infant mortality rate to decline by 60% over the last 40 years. In the same period, the world's average life expectancy has increased from 46 years in 1950s to 63 years today. This is a development which, as individuals, we can only applaud. However, the result of these positive measures is a world population that has risen during the same short period of time geometrically to almost 6 billion people and could easily exceed 8 billion by the year 2020. The negative impact of population growth on all of our planetary ecosystems is becoming appallingly evident. The rapid growing exploitation of the world's supply of energy and water is a matter of deep concern, and the toxic byproducts of widespread industrialization have increased atmospheric pollution to dangerous levels. Unless nations will agree to work together to tackle these cross-border challenges posed by population growth, overconsumption of resources, and environmental degradation, the prospects for a decent life on our planet will be threatened. The recent UN meeting in Cairo is appropriately focused on one of these key issues, population growth. But the controversies which have erupted at the conference illustrate the problem of coming to grips with issues that are deeply divisive and which have a profound moral dimension. The United Nations can and should play an essential role in helping the world find a satisfactory way of stabilizing world population and stimulating economic development in a manner that is sensitive to religious and moral considerations. Economic growth is, of course, an inevitable corollary of a growing population and is essential to improved standards of living. But without careful coordination, unrestrained economic growth poses further threats to our environment. This was a major subject of discussion at the conference in Rio de Janeiro on the environment 2 years ago. The focus then was on sustainable growth and global development. It was pointed out at the conference that growth is most efficiently managed by the private sector, but regulation of the process by national governments and international bodies is also needed. And once again, the United Nations should certainly be among the catalysts and coordinators of this process.